Hi everybody, and welcome to a little YouTube video, or I think we should start calling it Coffee Time with Joe, something like that. So grab a coffee or a tea. I know some people prefer tea, and I wasn't really going to do a YouTube on this, but I thought it'd be quite good to share sort of the story behind it with you, because I think as crafters we just assume everybody does things perfectly, and if something doesn't work out for ourselves, we get very hard on ourselves. I know I do. The number of times I do a card and I think, oh, I can't put it on, I can't send it as a sample. And you know, we really are very hard on ourselves. And as you know, the one thing that I am passionate about is really getting everybody to enjoy what they're doing and have more faith in ourselves. I never came into this to actually do anything, or you know, like some people do, they want to be famous, they want to make a name for themselves, they want to get on design teams. I just came into it purely because I was medically retired, I had seizures, I was a therapy radiographer, and I had two boys, were young at the time, and went to lots of parties, and I wasn't allowed to drive. So basically I started making cards, birthday cards, because it was so expensive getting them at the local shop. And well, it just progressed from there. And I have to say, to lose one career, I loved my job as a radiographer, was heartbreaking. But to find a passion in card making, and then to be able to turn it into a little workshop group and business, is just, I just love it. But my main focus, which has just developed really, has been this teaching and this I'm a bit of a chatterbox, as you know, so again, sorry about that. But what I wanted to show you, this card, Lavinia over here in the UK, on their website, every month there's a challenge, and as part of the DT we do a sample for that challenge. Now the challenge this month is my favourite stamp. Now, as you can see from this, quite a few years ago I used, this is a feather, the feather stamp, and I used it as a tree, and I made a Christmas card using it as a Christmas tree. And to be honest, I've used it quite a few times, and it's good when I do workshops. It's lovely. You can do a really simple card or something a bit more adventurous. So as a stamp that never leaves my desk, I decided I was going to use this, and little Pippin here, I decided I'd be allowed to have another one because I wanted something else. And my story is, he just ran in and I couldn't move him. But the funny thing is, I had all my card cut and prepped ready. But what actually happened was, the size of the card, this is a DL, to go on a DL, and this actual, what I used, this was my matten layer. So if you look at this, so actually this wasn't supposed to be my main card, and it's only, I had the 3 pieces of card on my desk ready, must have picked up my white mat by mistake. So obviously I was working on this size card instead of this, and my idea was to just stamp the tree, Pippin, little bit of background, put it up, job done. And it's only when I'd stamped them that I had all this space, and I thought, oh, I can't stamp any foliage, and I got my stencil out, and I have to say I was so pleased with the result. But really, the reason I thought I'd just share that story with you, and I'll just obviously make the card up so you can see, but really it was to say to you that I know in crafting they have this term happy accident, which I don't really know if I like it or not, but actually that is exactly what this was. I'd used my bigger piece of card by mistake. Really, this is the card I was going to use, but I wouldn't have needed the stenciling then. And actually, I love that effect. So for me, it was one of those, dare I say, happy accidents. So I'm going to put those to one side, otherwise I'll end up using the smaller piece. So we're going to get rid of those, and I've cut myself a piece the same size. So I'll go through the process with you, but this is what we're aiming at making. And it's really just to show you how in my head it came about. Now, I bought the new, I don't know if you've got the new Distress, this is the oxide, the speckled egg, and I wanted to have a play with it. So I'm going to use the brayer. Oh, I've not much room on here again, you know what I'm like. I'm going to use Billy Brayer to make my background, and again, this is really for me to have practice with him and keep going. So such a lovely colour this, it's not a in your face colour. Now a few of my workshop ladies, we've done a little bit of braying recently and they've been struggling. So a few little tips I've been saying to them. If you use a pale colour like this as a background, it's a good way of getting used to using your brayer. Now, I only put ink on this first half. And what I would do is run it on my craft mat first. And it just, can you see how that's now blended more? So we've less chance of getting lines. And I'm just going to blend on the mat and then come on to my card. And it's a nice light touch and I'm working my way down. And it's almost like a down, along, up motion. And the idea is you want the brayer to actually spin. So I'm going to pick up some of that ink from there and then just do the same so I can carry it. You can see we've got more on there. Pick it up. Some people actually put the first lot of ink on copy paper or card. For me, that's a waste because I can actually pick it up here and bring it further up the card. What I want to do is just add a bit of colour at that end and here just take the whiteness off. I don't know if you can see that, how it has actually taken the whiteness off there. So I'm going to turn it round, same thing. So I'm inking up just this half. Now, if you're good with the brayer, obviously you drink your coffee, eat your biscuit while I do this bit. Again, on here to blend it and also practice your brayer in. And then we'll go straight across and then in. And don't worry, look, I've got the odd line there. It really doesn't matter. Again, you're just making a background. Don't be hard on yourself. And I found, you know, the more you relax, it's quite funny, if I need to do a specific piece, I get really nervous. I get so nervous, even before doing these. And if I'm nervous, it's not going to work out. If it's a piece that, oh, it's a bit of card, I'll just have a practice. And often, don't you find that the way? That your practice piece will be better. And I'm sure it's just because we get so nervous and we almost put the hurdles there ourselves. So I think, you know, let's be kind to ourselves. So I'm just going to make this one a bit deeper because I think I'll have this as my base and this is my sky. So I'm just going to come in a bit there. Now, I'm going to put that to one side. What I would do is just clean that on a piece of card, but just to save time, I'm going to put the lid on and I'm just going to mop this up, except I haven't got any mopping material ready, but there we go. So I must admit, I do like this new colour of the Distress inks. I don't have all the Distress inks, I must say. I try not to get collections of things because I think as crafters, once you start building up a collection, you never stop. I know when Adam, our eldest, was little, we made the mistake of buying him. He wanted a magazine on dinosaurs and it had a wooden piece to build this big T-Rex. And we bought the first couple. You know what they're like. They give you issue number 2 free with number 1. They start you on the journey. There was something like 100 and odd pieces in the end. And once we'd got so far, we couldn't stop. So with the oxides, I don't buy them all. Because otherwise, like I say, I wouldn't know where to stop. But I do love this new colour. So what I'm going to do is stamp the feather next as my tree. And I, as you know, stamp sideways. I'll just check if we're in shot here. So I'm just going to use my black VersaFine Clair. So nice light tapping. Give it a good tap. And you know me, I've got to, seems to be getting messier and messier with the edges of my my acrylic blocks. And I'm going to put it off centre. And obviously I want it on this side because Pippin is looking that way. So again, we'll give it a nice press. Don't be in too much of a rush to lift it up. Now I'm using the All and Create blocks, which are flexible, so I can give it a little lift because often it's the middle bit of a stamp that you'll miss. So with these being flexible, you can just get that middle, but make sure you do keep one hand on it. So there we go, look at that, beautiful. I know I say it, but I really do love this stamp, and for me it makes a perfect tree. So let's put little Pippin in. Again, for, you know, for a £1 stamp, I think he's just adorable. Just checking the light that I've got plenty of ink on him. And I'm just going to, again, clean around because, like I say, I am just such a, a messy one. It's a slow drying ink, so, you know, don't worry your ink's going to dry while you're cleaning, because VersaFine is a slow drying ink. And I'm just going to put him there looking up. Now, again, I'm going to hold him down for a couple of minutes. Well, seconds, I suppose. Just so that I can give that ink time to soak in. You know, this feather stamp, when you look, the actual detail is just amazing. So let's give him a good, there we go. Sorry, just look at it, it's just lovely, isn't it? Right, we'll give that a quick blot. Let's turn it over. And then what we'll do next, we'll just add a bit of the, now again, I could stamp grass, but the idea of this challenge was my favourite stamp. So really, it's really about one. So obviously I've added a second, so I don't want to add any foliage. So for this, I'm just going to draw it. So again, don't be hard on yourself. Sort of just, if you want to practice doing grass like that, and then a bit of a, on copy paper. So we'll have a bit of a line there. And then just round Pippin. I'll have a bit of a, give him a bit of shade. Often the sketchier look, the better. So I'm thinking if we have a little bit of grass there, and then just some there, and shall we go some there, and we'll do the line there. The thing is, don't make them all the same. You know, Walter, that's got a line there. But again, just practice on your copy of paper. And we're going to add some little, on the finished one, if you look, I've added some little dabs of Posca to look like flowers. So it is very forgiving. So that's that so far. Pop my ink to one side. What I'll do now is I'll introduce the moon mask. So again, it's just some acetate, and I've popped a gold Posca on just to try and help me because I can never find it. Now for this, I used Stormy Sky because I wanted sort of a little contrast colour, but nothing too in your face. And I'm going to use a smoothie. Again, you could use a blending tool, but I just went for a smoothie. Now, I could put it in the middle there. Sorry if I turn it around for you. But I just thought that almost looks too... I think if I had a star there and wanted it to look like the light was coming from the star, but I just want it to look like it's almost the moon. So for me, offsetting, and also I think if he's looking up, for me, his eye line goes up there. So he could be looking at the moon. I'm probably overthinking it, and I'm sorry, but that's just the way my head works. So I'm just going to hold that. Now remember, always go onto your acetate first. Dab some of that ink off, and then gradually flick round. We'll go all the way round. Just mind your fingers there. And I'm going to bring this out quite, I want almost some rays. Now we are going to be putting the stenciling on top, so again, don't be harsh on yourself if you think it looks a bit strong. But again, don't re-ink. If you need ink, dab it up off here. But I actually think that's enough. And remember, have a look like this. Yeah, and that's enough for me. In fact, it's probably a bit deep, but we're going to be doing the stenciling, which probably means that I didn't use Stormy Sky. I bet I used Faded Jeans, but it's not a problem. We can work around it. So clean the moon mask or the acetate, because if you don't, as I say, you'll end up with marks. Now we'll add some landscape, so I'm just going to grab a piece of copy paper and I'm just going to tear that so we've got a bit of some hills going on, and turn it round and see if that'll be fine for just under the tree and under Pippin. So again, I've not added any more ink. Let's see how much is on there. If I want to look, I know I always say it, but lift it, yeah. Now remember, this, with it being an oxide, it's quite chalky. So where it goes over your VersaFine ink, you will get that chalky edge. But I'm happy with that. I like that look. That's what I'm after. But don't worry if you see that happening. So obviously I don't really want to put my background here because I would get someone pipping. So we'll go for our hill. I think we'll take one this way. Now again, I'm not re-inking, only, in fact I'll put the lid on my ink. Only because my theory is, with a landscape, as you look in the distance, things get paler, and that helps gives us perspective. So obviously the more I use my smoothie, the less ink will be on it and the paler it will be. So I always suggest at workshops, if you ink up for your first one, now I didn't need to because I could tell there was quite a lot of ink on here. Two things, it saves money, but it also stops you, because once you put it on, it's very hard to take it off. You're better building up colour. So that was my first one. My second one here, I want a little bit paler. So again, I'm going to have a look. Yeah, and I'm happy with that. And then my third one, again, will just take under there. And I just want to alter that direction a little. So again, I'm not adding any more because I really want this to be fainter still. Because again, to help with that perspective. So I'm happy with that. So I hope that makes sense. If you look at landscapes, and again, I think when we're doing these card designs, I know we can have artistic license and everything, but with something like this, if I'm making a landscape, in my head, I'd rather it looked more realistic. Now for me, I just need a bit there. If you look, just a bit darker there. There we go. I just couldn't see that line there. I'm happy with that. Get rid of that. Just clean up and dry that. So this was the point when I was doing my original that I looked and I thought, oh, I seem to have a lot of space here. What am I going to do? And like I say, I didn't want to bring in any more stamping. So that's when I decided that what I would do is bring in one of the new Lavinia stencils. Now, on the original, I've gone for the same blue, but I'm thinking maybe, could I introduce a little bit of purple is what I'm thinking. And like I said, I just thought this leafy stencil was absolutely beautiful. I would tell you its proper name, but they've only just come out and it does escape me. I should have actually looked it up before, shouldn't I? Sorry. I'm a bit useless today. But like I said, we're not going to be hard on ourselves. Right, I'm looking and I haven't got a purple smoothie. Let's try this one. Got a bit of pink on, doesn't matter. Now, I'm not sure. I know I want the purple quite light. So when you're using stencils, especially this one, obviously it's got these bits. If you brush against, see these bits here, you don't want to lift them up and damage them, so you almost need to brush in the way, almost a dabbing motion, but do it in the way that the stencil goes. So it's almost a sort of a dab and a flick. When you do it, again, try it on copy paper first, but you'll see exactly what I mean, and you'll come up with your own. I mean, sometimes I use blending tools, sometimes smoothies, sometimes stencil brushes. Really depends what I've got at hand. Again, keep your hand on one side, lift up and have a look. And look how that's looking. I'm actually thinking I preferred the blue. So again, what we'll do is we'll add a bit more with the purple. Then I think I'm going to go in and put the blue on top. So yeah, I'm not keen on the purple on its own. So let's go back with the Stormy Sky, see if we can get a nice mixture of the colours. Don't know why I didn't like the purple on its own. It just almost stuck out too much. So I'm hoping this blue, let's lift it up. You see now, I don't know if you can pick that up on camera, that with the purple on its own, but this just looks more moody. I prefer that. So, but that was just like I say, I thought I'd have a go at the purple, see, but I just think the blue tones work better. But I quite like the purple underneath. So, right, I don't want to go right the way down, so I'm almost going to make it a bit more faint down there. And then we'll just bring in some over the moon. Again, I don't want to go all the way. let's just almost make it a little bit faint near the tree. There we go. Turn it round so you can see. I'm happy with that. Like I said, I just prefer those colour tones, but I do like that purple in the corner and that purple there. So we'll do the same on the bottom. So don't worry about trying a colour, and if you don't like it, you know, you can always change like I did. So put this one because I want it going up. So in with the purple. And I think if we dab the purple around the edge first, and then we'll go in with the blue and almost blend it. I think if I go quite deep in these bottom corners, it might be quite dramatic. So if I just show you how the purple on its own, I really didn't like that tone. So just move my hand here. Let's mix some, and I'm almost cleaning up the stencil as well. So I'm actually taking some of the purple, can you see, off the stencil as I add the blue, and I'm more sort of blending it. Can you see here how it's cleaner? But again, I'm going in the direction of the leaves of this stencil. And I'm just going to move my hand because I want a little bit up the side here. I don't want to go over pipping, so again, quite light there. Now let's lift that back. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think that's a lovely combination. So, and again, if I show you, look, your stencil's quite clean because you've picked it up and blended with it, with your smoothie. So if I pop my lids on. Now, the last couple of finishing touches, just want to show you a couple of things. I'm just going to wipe my hands. What I did is I coloured, sorry, that's just a message come through on Messenger. The actual tree I coloured in, and I went for blues and purples just to keep the tone. Now, I'm not going to spend all the time colouring because I'm sure you finished your coffee by now. So if you're doing this along with me, I coloured each of these little leaves, and I sort of alternated. I had sort of 2 or 3 different blues and 2 or 3 different purples. And so I just alternated the colours, but like I say, I won't colour them all in now. Now I'm using Inktense pencils because what you do there is then add water. But what I did for an extra little addition, which I'd like to just show you, a little trick, if you have mica powders, Lavinia actually have got their own mica powders, and this obviously is a coffee stirrer. Luckily, when a certain coffee shop was open, I did get one free every time I had my coffee, but obviously I haven't been for a while. But what I tend to do is pop a little bit of this, and I'm only going to put a little bit out because I'm really tight, as you know. Pop some of that on my mat. Now, anything that you need to add water to, so any of you, I mean, quite often, obviously, as you know, I use distress oxides to put them on my mat and add water. But what I found is if I actually add water, can you see that I'm still in shot? If you add mica water, it then gives it a nice sheen. So what I did was mix it with my water, and then where I go to do my watercolouring, look, so I'm adding the water now, it actually will add, and if I go all the way down here so I can show you, it's actually, now I don't know if the camera will pick that up, and I'm quite useless at this, I'm sorry. I don't know if it will pick up the reflection, but if you try it at home, you will see you do get the most lovely glaze, really watery. And what's nice about that as well is you can actually, now I like to flick water, but if I flick that on, it almost has a bit of a pearlescent sort of, as it dries, it oxidises and is pearlescent. So I'm going to add a few flicks of those around. I won't add too many because obviously I'm going to finish off colouring this after. So let's pretend I've finished colouring. And then my last little finishing trick is just here where we want to add some flowers. So I went with the colours that are in my design. So again, I've gone for the blue and the purple. Now these are Posca pens. My white one, sorry, one lady did ask, and I'll try and find it and put it on the comment, the sizes. with my white, I have 2 sizes, and this one is right, 1M, millimetre maybe. So the smaller one is the 1M, and that's the one I would use. So if I was going to highlight his nose a little bit down his front, so that's the smaller one. And the one I use for my flicks is a 5M, a bullet. Now, I bought some coloured ones in a pack, and these are the 5M. So, but obviously you have to shake them. Sorry about the noise. So it's these ones that I use to add my little flowers. I do love Posca pens. There's just something about them. Now again, if you're making this, dare I say that C word, Christmas, put some baubles on here, star on the top. And again, it's nice for, I did some Christmas cards while I was doing them every year for my husband's business. And I did this design, and it's a nice generic design that if people don't celebrate Christmas, it's still a nice sort of a wintry card that's not almost too religious or too specifically Christmas. And it's one that you could send to males as well as females. So if there's often a Christmas card is difficult when you're just doing to a male on his own. My husband goes and visits a lot of labs, laboratories and hospitals. So it was a nice generic one to send to the staff in the path labs there. So last little thing, some splats. So again, it's with the 5, and you just give it a good shake. Now you don't have to do this. If you don't want to do this, by all means don't. I'm just going to add a few there. Don't overdo it. We don't want any pizzas. And I'll just give that a clean. And really, that's the gist of it. And that's how this came about. So if I bring the finished one in, just obviously so you can see how it would be when you'd finished colouring. But really, it's this lovely stenciling around the edge, which, as I say, totally came about by accident, by me using the wrong piece of card. But I was pleased with it, so I just wanted to share that design with you as an idea of how to use your stencils. And if something doesn't work out, actually, you might make something better at the end of it. So I think we all need to be pleased with what we're doing. So that's my little chat for today. I hope you've enjoyed your coffee. I hope you had a nice biscuit with it. And I'm going to say bye for now. Love and hugs, everybody. You take care. Bye.